We are live. Well, live. We're recording. We're recording was what I mean by live.
I didn't know it was going to be a live stream.
Yeah.
Oh god.
Yes. No pressure.
told me.
We're live. There. You have 100,000 viewers. Say hello.
I have to poop.
Hey. Okay.
I'll be
So
back.
this is gonna be. I don't know what to call it yet. I want to call it like the video game club because instead of a book club, it's for video games.
Itchy game.
But video game club kind of sounds. I don't know. Does that sound like I don't know. We'll figure the name out.
When I tried to explain it to my wife, she's like, "So like a book club?" I'm like, "Kinda,"
But we're not reading books because if you call it a video game book club, people think that it's books about video games,
right.
which it's not.
Yeah.
It's a club where we pick a game and we play it and then we talk about the game. So it's like a
I
book
think
club
we just
but with games.
use that title. What you just said, just that entirely
All of that
long thing.
What's
All
the
of that,
acronym?
everything.
Anybody want to go back and find out?
Let me ask ChatGPT. Let me figure it out.
Yeah, give me that acronym. So we'll just for now, with whatever this turns into, we're calling this the video game club. I'm Sharxx, and you guys can
we're
introduce
introducing
yourselves
ourselves.
if you want to. Yeah,
Oh.
Got it.
or just let me fill the awkward silence there.
Love it.
So I'm
I mean, you're-
Sharxx.
you're- It's okay. Yeah. I'm Phenom.
I'm Spleen.
Cool, and we've known each other. Well, I mean, for a long time,
Yes.
like 30 years, or so.
Yes.
For real, it's kind of scary, but it is actually basically that number, right?
Close.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Close.
It's been a while. It's been a while. What have you guys been up to? What's been going on? What's been happening?
Moving, baby.
That's easy. You just
Work.
pick it up. You put it in a different spot.
Moving a
Right
baby is
now,
pretty easy.
I can't pick it up. I could pick up the
mean-
vessel in which it's being carried, but
The
There's
vessel.
that.
She has a name.
She is forever going to be known as the vessel.
the vessel.
Yes. Please
That is
tell
now her
her.
new title.
Please tell her she is now the vessel. And
I
let me know how that
absolutely-
goes.
You got it. I'll get back to you with those results.
Man, we really haven't heard from Fenn in a while. Do you?
What
do you
happened
know if
there?
he's okay?
Well,
My
so
internet usage has been revoked.
yeah. So all right, you're moving. You have the vessel to take care of.
Yes,
And you know,
indeed.
live. But
Yeah.
you were playing a Marvel game or something.
Yeah, I was playing Marvel Rivals. It's like an Overwatch clone to some extent, and a lot of it feels that way in a lot of ways. But Marvel, and it's super fun. And I'm
Okay.
kind of glad it came out because I was thinking about downloading Overwatch, but I'm like, I don't know if I want to do that.
Yeah,
and then I
that's
got to
a
play
whole
this.
thing. So is
And
it
it's
like
free.
free to play? Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
That's
Free to
cool.
play, super fun. Too many characters, way too many characters initially.
No such thing.
When you do the tutorial, they give you like 9 to 12 characters to like pick from to like try them out, and then you go play the actual game, and there's like 15 more on top of that. It's a little overwhelming because I'm like, I don't know what role I want to play or what to try, so I've just been trying a little bit of everything. I just tried Wolverine earlier, and it was actually really fun. So yeah,
But,
I've
but
been
it's
playing
like Overwatch first person shooter kind of style.
that. Third person, but
Third
yeah,
person?
it's still very much the same thing. You have support, you have tank, you have DPS, all the same thing. So it's still kind of the holy trinity idea. Not as much, but yeah. Punisher destroys. My first game was 33 kills with Punisher, and then the next one was 63.
Kills?
So yeah,
How long do the games go?
probably about 10 to 15 minutes.
Okay,
Somewhere
so
in there.
I'm not playing this game with you.
Or on my
Or
team
just play the Punisher.
and
It's the
play the
only-
Punisher.
It's the only one with a gun.
That and they also
Not-
made the one thing I was surprised by is they made Rocket Raccoon support character, which I thought was interesting. I would have made him a DPS personally, but
Huh. I like Rocket the
not mine.
Raccoon. Bradley Cooper's awesome.
yeah, it's a really fun.
That blew my
Agreed.
mind when I found out that Bradley Cooper voiced that character.
Agreed.
Yeah, it's one of the
Agreed.
few that you can't quite pick up his voice the way he, way he
Yeah.
does it.
Yeah.
No, it's like
awesome.
Colin Farrell being the Penguin. Although he has the makeup on and
Oh
everything.
yeah.
But even still, he blends in to the role in its entirety, and it's
Wait a
just
minute, the Penguin and what?
the newest Batman.
The latest, yeah.
Oh, the one with
the
Robert
Batman.
Pattinson.
Yes,
Yeah,
I didn't ever watch that one.
it's really
it's slower,
it.
but it's good.
Yeah.
And yeah, it was one of those. Yeah, the prosthetics for Colin Farrell's Penguin deserve an award because he does not even look like him.
No. And there's no mannerisms from him or anything that kind of come through, even with the makeup on. Like it's incredible.
Yeah.
So it's really amazing.
It's when you see him later in interviews and you forget he has an Irish accent.
He's technically in the MCU, right? Didn't he play Bullseye,
He was Bullseye
in the original?
Yeah, he was Bullseye
Daredevil?
in Ben Affleck's
Really?
Daredevil.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Yep. And
So he's
Jennifer
been up
Garner
on-
was Elektra.
Yes, she was.
Mm.
I was a younger man then.
An awakening happened.
Yeah, that was it. Jennifer Garner as Elektra
Right
was
then and
my
there.
awakening. Honestly, my awakening was probably The Mummy, 99.
Yeah.
There's something for everybody in that movie.
I mean, I was 4 at the time, so I didn't know what was happening. But
Well, way to
you know,
reveal your age.
I got you. But have you picked up WoW yet recently?
The new, what are we on? War Within?
War Within, yeah.
No.
No.
It looks, what they're doing with the story excites me. But it's a time thing. Like having time to do it has been World of Warcraft is such a time sink.
Yes, it is. It's becoming less so. The more I play, obviously I have considerably more time, not right now, but in general. But I finally hit level 80 the other night after months of it being out. And the stories, I'm still not done with the story. That's one new thing I've noticed in the past few expansions is that they've kept the story going for a lot longer. Like I can't seem to finish all of the quests before I hit like top level, which is not the way it used to be. It used to be you hit level 80 a little bit before the end of the story, and then you'd go do the end game. But end game and everything's kind of mushing together. But the delves are really cool. Having single player content's pretty sweet. The dungeons have been fun and unique. So and the zones are gorgeous. There's one called Hallowfall, where you can see the sword of Sargeras sticking through the ceiling of the cavern, and it actually will change to a purple light every now and again to completely change the lighting of the whole zone. There's a lot of really cool stuff that they did this time around, and one of the things I'm loving is it feels high fantasy again for a while. It hasn't felt that way in a while, and from the music to the zones to everything feels very high fantasy, and it's awesome. So exploring it and going around and just seeing everything's been a lot of fun. So if you get the chance to pick it up, let me know and we'll dive through it. But what have you guys been playing besides what we're going to be talking about today?
Spleen, go ahead.
Goodness, what have I been playing? I've been bouncing around a lot. Well, I have a toddler that doesn't nap anymore, so I've been playing a lot of Lego games.
He's outside of the vessel.
He yes.
We had to make the decision of he had to stop napping because he took an hour and a half to fall asleep, and that was getting old.
Oh Lord.
So,
Oh man.
yeah, I've been playing a lot of the Lego games, switching between Lego Star Wars and Lego Marvel.
Have you tried Lego Horizon Zero Dawn yet? Or is that out yet?
It is out.
I saw it. I have not bought it.
It's fun. That's another one.
I didn't even realize they were making it, and I saw that and I was like, "That's ridiculous."
But what's cool about it is the voice actors. Almost all the original cast came back to voice their characters again.
Oh wow!
Ashley
That's
Birch is
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes,
I believe so.
Ashley Birch.
Aloy. Yeah, there we go.
Yeah,
Yep.
and they all come back and like play more like animated version of themselves for
That's
the
funny.
characters. And because I have the Vessel and I have played it a little bit. I'm
From
sticking
now
with
on,
it.
if we continue
Really-
doing this, that is
really
her
don't have to
name
keep
from
calling
now
it
on. She is the
No, it's-
vessel.
I'm
The
sticking with it.
vessel.
I am absolutely sticking with it.
The vessel.
But we've been playing it a little bit, and they keep, you can still use your the scan for like enemies' weak points and do that. You get to level up your characters a little bit, all sorts of stuff like that, and you still run around and pick up berries to heal yourself, stuff like that. Like they've kept a lot of the original game, in Lego form, which is a lot of fun. So
Ridiculous.
yeah, it's fun. But Lego games, that's what
Lego
you've been
games.
playing.
I've never played a
That-
Lego game. I have to confess that.
Really?
Well, that's not true. There was a Lego game on the PC back in probably the late 90s, that you could like build race cars and stuff, and I
Lego
did play
Racers?
that a lot.
Lego,
Lego
Racers?
Racers was one of them, but there was one before that. And driving the car was just one of the things you could do.
Yeah, I
You're talking
remember
about Lego
it was-
You're not talking about Lego Island.
Yes, Lego Island. That is what I'm
No,
talking about.
I just played Lego Racers.
I have
I
this-
played that so much.
I have the CD for it that we originally had.
Oh, Lego Island.
Somewhere around here. Yeah,
Oh man,
I brought it
that
from
would be a
home,
trip.
including
play
the
that
Age of
again.
Empires Gold Edition disc that was burned.
Oh wow.
I have that as well.
Uh huh. I remember
So yeah, no, but
remember
Lego
that.
Lego Island was a good time. I got
And
a lot of
pirating
memories
was
from
so easy back in the day. Ah.
that. Yeah, just don't. I actually had to for work buy a CD DVD burner.
that. Why?
Because a lot of the music we need for shows is on CDs. That's how they've always done it. And I have gotten them to now use sound software, so that way we can actually use a queuing software to make it more professional and cleaner. And so I actually have to rip the music off of these CDs so I can put it in the software. So I actually had to buy one. So I've
neat.
been ripping CDs lately, which is an interesting thing to be doing in 2024. So.
But
That's funny.
Spleen, besides Lego games, have you been playing anything else with the time that you do have?
When children weren't around, I got back into Middle Earth: Shadow of War. Because it was another game that I just kept going. Like I keep playing it, and then I never finish it, and been playing that for a bit, and it just reignites my frustration with Warner Brothers.
Okay, I don't know about your frustration with Warner Brothers.
Because Warner Brothers has a patent on the Nemesis system.
Really?
Oh,
Shadow of War and Shadow of Mordor have the Nemesis system where the NPCs interact with you, they remember you, and like if they were to kill you, they level up and become higher status, or if they were to, and then if you were to go after them again, they remember like I killed you and blah blah blah. And and then if you start killing enough enemies, they'll start hunting you, like all these different things that add a completely different level to these games. And so yeah, Shadow of Mordor and Shadow of War are the only two games that have this system, because Warner Brothers has a patent on it and won't let anyone use it. And it was potentially could have revolutionized games in the future. It's like, imagine playing Cyberpunk with a Nemesis system. Imagine playing, I'm trying to think of some other games, but like just imagine how games could add where they have this almost a level where the game is playing back against you.
Yep.
And not just, and it kind of reacts to what you do. But yeah, I've been playing those, and it's been fun. And
I do remember the Nemesis system because I played. What was the first one? Shadow of
Shadow of
Shadow of
Mordor.
Mordor. Yeah.
I remember. I think I almost beat it, or I got close, or did. I can't remember.
Yeah.
But I do remember thinking the Nemesis system was really freaking cool.
Yeah, it's just a lot of fun. And like I also have a lot of fun with Shadow of War because a vast majority of the voice actors in it are in Critical Role, and so like I catch all their voices as the orcs, and I've just been building an army of just the people's voices I recognize.
That's fun.
Cool. Well, I have
Yeah,
only
so
been
what about
playing the game we're talking about today.
Fair enough.
Oh, we were supposed to play that?
I mean, no. You can you can do what you did in
I
high
just
school and just plagiarize here. No. So for our first video game club meeting, I chose Keeper's Toll. Now we have some kind of simple rules for the game we're allowed to choose. We're going for like 15 or $20 or less. We're shooting for non AAA titles. So smaller games that don't take too long to beat, maybe 20 hours or less, and that aren't super expensive. And so I had seen a little bit about Keeper's Toll. I actually watched a challenge run of it by one of the YouTubers I like, and so I chose it. For anyone that hasn't seen this game yet, I'm just going to read. It's by Stingbot Games, and I'm just going to read their description of the game, so that way you kind of get an idea. Keeper's Toll is an action-packed roguelite brimming with challenge and despair. Survive against an onslaught of relentless hordes and grueling bosses with skill-based ARPG gameplay. There are 6 unique heroes. You have the Shadow Monk, the Pyromancer, the Crimson Maiden, the Necromancer, the Ranger, and the Bogatyr. So you have all of those options there, and you have to kind of fight through the world. So that is what I chose to play, or for all of us to play on this first meeting. So I guess first impressions, guys. Where do we want to start on this? Did you like the game? I don't know. Maybe we just start there.
I mean, I enjoyed playing it. I have not, quote unquote, beaten it. I still have a number of exclamation points to get through.
Sure.
But it was fun to play. It's a good kind of just chill, in a way, chill out. You don't have to think very much type game. You just have to survive.
Right. The challenge run I watched was can I beat Keeper's Toll without moving much? Like, because there are runs that you can get going in this game where you really don't have to do much except choose the next level up.
Yes.
Yep. I definitely got to that point. I'm kind of in the same boat with you, Spleen, where I haven't beaten it yet. I've been busy and Anyways, not to make excuses, but I have played it. I've beaten the Ebon King. Gotten up to that point. Which that was fun. Like I enjoyed that. I think one of my only gripes with it, and this is not necessarily a gripe, it's just I wish it had a little bit more. There's another bullet hell game that I can't remember the name of it right at this exact second. That we may try out next time because I have played a bit more, where you're a bit more active in actually shooting and using your weapon. There's still automatic things that happen that you don't have control of that are just happening, like abilities and stuff like that. But I like having to be able to like control what I'm doing a little bit more. It just makes me feel more engaged because what I found is I'd be like laying in bed because I have Steam Deck and I'm playing it that way, and I started to fall asleep with it because it relaxed me so much. And I'm
I was falling asleep at my computer too. It's hypnotizing.
It really is, because it's like you don't have to do a lot, and you just kind of. And I agree, you got to a point where you had enough abilities, you could just stand still and just kind of turn a little bit, so that way you. Because I was playing Blood Maiden initially, and so I would just with her scythe that would go around her, I would just turn every now and again just to make sure I got a little bit more damage going around. So, but yeah, I started getting sleepy while I was playing. I had to like move and wake myself up because I'm like, it just chilled me out.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah,
it is very laid back, very chill.
And
Go ahead.
I wouldn't even say I wasn't bored playing. I'm sitting at my computer playing and completely fine. And then I just don't know if it's just once you get later on and it is just kind of this constant sound of things dying that I just noticed that I just start falling asleep at the controller. And
I had to turn the sound effects down, not because they were bothering me, but because just the sound of collecting experience, since you have to, go collect the little soul things, that little sound, that little sprite sound it makes, I just feel like, this is nice. This is really nice.
The music was
almost
good,
like
though.
ASMR. Yeah,
The music slaps.
Agreed.
Yeah, the music slaps for sure.
Yeah.
So I think I have. I mean, I enjoyed it. Having played some other top-down things, I like the take on the roguelite kind of system. However, I do have some complaints about it, and one of I think you've already brought up, which is you don't exactly have an active role all the time with the way this game works.
Yeah.
You know, the two classes that I think really have the most active roles in them, you have the Crimson Maiden, whom both of her ultimates you choose when they happen. Like it fills up a bar, or when the bar fills up, you have access to the move that sucks everything in, and then the super hit move. Like those are the two ultimates.
The
None of the other
Cyclone, I can't
ultimates,
remember the other one.
yeah, none of the other ultimate abilities are like that. They're all on timers.
I think the monk had one as well that I think you activated. It's like
You have to. Oh, that's
1,000.
true. You do. You do have to do like the button combination in order to do the
Yeah.
teleport. You're right. You're right
There was a
about that.
teleport, and then when you get your ultimate, it changes to that, and it's like
The one
I
that sucks in the things around it,
something like that. I think
something like
yeah.
that. And then the ranger, you choose which direction you're facing, which
Yeah, it also had
is
I
disorienting
actually
sometimes.
it also had an alternate aiming mode that then allowed you to aim with your with in my case like with the right stick as you're moving
Really?
around. So you could so you actually could have radial firing.
Oh, I didn't
But
recognize that. I didn't realize
honestly,
that.
I didn't like it as much because then it took my thumb away from my dash button.
And you need it with the ranger.
And you need it a lot with the Ranger. Thankfully, my controller has a button on the back that I could use as well.
So
Yeah,
yeah,
I noticed I didn't have to use the dash for a while because I was strong enough. But as soon as I got to like later bosses and stuff like that, I wasn't using the dash, so I kept getting hit and dying, or getting closer to dying because I'm like, oh, I actually have to like use an ability to do something. And then once I started kind of getting the hang of that, I started dying less. But I just was so used to just literally moving my left thumbstick that I was just like running into things. Like
because
it's just kind of got to a point.
bodying things is usually where you're going to take the most damage. It
Yeah.
seems like.
Yeah.
And so, like, if you, I guess, I don't know, did you guys play all of the classes or at least try all of the classes?
I've tried them all. I didn't get very far with Bogatir and the Necromancer.
Okay, yeah. I maxed all of them out except the ranger, I think, as far as levels go. So I guess I probably played a bit more than both of you did.
Probably.
So I will say, I don't know how much you guys experience this, the balance of the classes to me feels really bad. I started my first playthrough, and the first character I leveled up was the Crimson Maiden, which is almost feels like easy mode compared to a couple of the characters. As soon as you have like a bunch of scythes around you, I mean, no enemies are going to get to you, and then you start healing really easily, and her ultimates are really effective.
Yeah, in any of the classes that had decent AoE seem to be a lot more successful because you spend more of the time dealing with little things than you do the bosses, and you can make the AoEs work when you get to boss fights.
Right, right. The ranger feels awful to me. I don't know if
Yeah.
you liked the ranger at all.
It was okay, but it was definitely one that dies really easy.
When she's supposed to be high damaged, I could never get a run with the ranger where I actually felt like I was doing a lot of damage. Whereas like the pyromancer, like the numbers get insane.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I remember
the
you telling me that.
Yeah, the
And I was
pyromancer. Oh, sorry.
no, go ahead.
I was gonna say the pyromancer, in my opinion, is probably the easiest to play
Mm.
because it seemed like every attack he has knocks back
The only attack that
automatic.
the pyromancer has that I think is a little underpowered and underwhelming is self immolation.
Yeah,
It does have a healing capability and all that, but I tried it several times and I never could get a run where I enjoyed it or it seemed to be effective. But you're right, every other ability is kind of bonkers.
Yeah, I remember you telling me that. And I was playing Bloodbane at the time, and I had gotten to the Evan King, and I died the first time. I got really close to killing him,
Mm-hmm.
but I died, and I was like, well, kind of is what it is. And I was like, I wonder. So I switched over to the Pyromancer, who I hadn't touched at all at that point.
Mm-hmm.
Went into the exact same run and almost got to the Ebon King, but I died. But when I did that, I ended up getting like five to 600 XP in that
Mm-hmm.
one run. That I was able to level him up a ton, and I looked at his abilities and built the right one. After that, I breezed through it.
Mm-hmm.
Like it was an absolute like because I could keep so much more distance. The Bloodmaiden could definitely keep distance, but like the Pyromancer felt like I could keep a lot of distance and just kind of time the dashes just a little bit better. And his dots were kind of nuts as well. So yeah, the Pyromancer was fun. I enjoyed the Pyromancer quite a bit.
My most success with the Pyromancer is just his base fireball attack. There
Mhm.
is so much synergy in a bunch of the okay, as you level just the base attack up, it spawns more fireballs, and they bounce between characters, and then every crit has the chance of spawning another fireball, and
Another
then
bounce, and then another.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, and it starts getting exponential, and eventually I don't know if you guys noticed the DPS meter that's in the pause menu, but in like the hard
did not know
mode,
that was there.
yeah,
I didn't either.
if you pause, it'll tell you what your DPS is. Yeah, I didn't. I realized it later on, but especially when I was playing in the harder modes, after you light the bonfires, I was getting up to like 6, 7, 8,000 damage per second, and I wasn't moving. Like he is insane. He's fun,
Yeah,
but in absolutely insane damage numbers if you do the right build. Whereas the ranger always felt underpowered, and none of the abilities felt particularly good to me. They just all felt ineffective. Like I never got a run I was happy with. Necromancer was a lot of fun, especially if you could level up the golem. I don't know if you ever got a golem run going, but it was pretty good. Um, I like the Shadow Monk quite a bit.
that one was a lot of fun.
Did you play Shadow Monk much, Fen?
No, and I'll be 100% honest. I did Bloodmaiden and Pyromancer the most.
That's fine. Yeah,
Those are who I had the
that's fair.
most experience with.
Well, the Shadow Monk, um, I here's what I will say as like an overall definite positive comment. All 6 classes feel, and the feel of playing them is entirely different. Like none of
Hmm.
them feel similar to each other. They all feel very distinct. And so the moment I jumped in to Shadow Monk and that like hit and run, very fast gameplay, but also with some ability to self heal, felt really, really good to me. So,
Yeah,
Something that
I like
crossed
I
my
like that one. Um, I think I leaned towards Pyromancer more. It was one with the Shadow Monk. He was a little almost too fast for his damage in sometimes, so
hmm
that like you would end up almost running into enemies because they weren't certain ones weren't necessarily dead by the time you got to them, like in the case with like Pyromancer and the Blood Maiden. If you were to uh they're a little bit slower characters, so as you're kind of you can kind of just it almost felt like you could more freely walk around, and by the time you would get close to your enemies, your powers would have killed the enemies in time, so you didn't have to kind of like step and stop. You could just keep moving.
right, right. Well, and
something that crossed my mind.
go
Oh no,
ahead.
go ahead, go ahead, go
No,
ahead.
go
Sorry,
ahead.
sorry.
Go ahead. Go ahead. I'm gonna
Something that crossed my
change,
mind.
so go ahead.
Something that crossed my mind when thinking about something that I kind of wished a little bit more from the game is a variety of enemies. Yeah, we had a variety of sprites to look at,
Mm-hmm.
but not a lot of the enemies felt different or challenging besides the big bosses that did have more things where you got to move a little bit more, dodge through things, dodge, move out of the way of certain things or whatever. It all felt very kind of bland in terms of the enemies. And the other game I was talking about earlier is a game called Halls of Torment, where they had a lot of different kinds of enemies. They would have enemies that would like leap at you. They would have different enemies that would cast fireballs from far away. Like they had a variety, a varied kind of enemies. So then it wasn't always the same kind of threat because yeah, we would have a lot of enemies on screen at one point, but all most of them do would just kind of lumber at you. And each one, even though they're a different sprite, was exactly the same move kit. And also, kind of wish they had used more of the full direction because some of the enemies only hit linearly across them. So then you just kind of stood above them and just used the ability and over again. It's like
Hmm.
not particularly a challenge. I mean, sure, that's fine for what it is, but I would have loved to see them, make each because the purple enemies that come in, it's like make them a little bit more challenging.
The
Give them a
elites.
little bit more.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you. Give them a little bit more something, and it just didn't have that.
They had a little bit like, and I will say you guys didn't get far enough to actually light the bonfires to go into the hard modes.
Right.
Um,
I lit some bonfires.
It
I've
could have,
beaten
but I
it's
some
didn't
of the
hate myself.
bonfires.
it
Yeah.
does make the elites a little bit of a bigger threat.
Okay.
Um, Not really in the first two areas, but like once you get to like Uzvik Castle, there are some enemies that do range stuff or that will leap at you that really they hit hard, especially if you're playing something like the Pyromancer with low defense. It can get out of hand quickly, but even in those hard modes, it's never hard enough. Like, other than playing Ranger, I don't know about you, Spleen, but I never felt challenged enough. Like, there was never a run I was like, oh my god, that was so hard. This particular enemy just keeps wrecking my day. Like, that never happened to me.
Yeah.
And yeah, all
Um,
of the other enemies are just, it does just feel like they're sprites just walking at you, even though there's a variety. I think that's true. But at least some of the elites do different things, but all of the bosses have that issue of if I'm just above you, you can't do anything to me.
Yeah.
And I have AoE on, so I just have to wait for you to die.
Yeah, and one of my favorite parts always is like with Halls of Torment, the one maybe you guys can try it and you can give me your opinions on it. That maybe is the next game we play. I kept getting a point where in those runs, I would struggle. Either because my character wasn't leveled up enough, or I wasn't getting the right items, or some reason that I was like, okay, I'm gonna do this run. I'm gonna assume I'm gonna die. I'm gonna get the experience that I need, level up my character more, and then keep going in. And they even had a challenge system that if you killed 10,000 of these certain kind of enemies, you would get like an increase in your abilities in some way, which kind of encouraged you to go back in and keep trying, and try different things, and want to improve your character. Yeah, it helps in Keeper's Toll, absolutely, but I never felt fully incentivized to like, okay, how am I going to min max my character? How am I going to adjust my character because I'm dying to the people that are throwing poison at me, or stuff like that. It just never incentivized me to do that.
Right, and then going into like, because every run I would do the curse, how many curses can you survive thing.
Right.
There was no risk reward to that. It was
Mm-hmm.
just here's some potential at a little bit more money, a little bit more experience.
yeah. Yeah. At that point, it
But
was just
no, like you
you made it
might
to
lose
the
all
end.
your stuff if you go into this, or if you die, you're gonna lose
Right.
all of your experience. Like there is no risk in that way.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
honestly, when I reached the point where it was like, all right, now you just start getting cursed over and over again, it was almost a relief because at that point it didn't matter.
Mm-hmm.
yeah, once you've beat the final boss of the area, it's
But
just hey, how many curses can you survive and for how long?
yeah,
And then at least in the base mode, going like you could do 20 curses and you're not going to end up with a much more experience or gold. I will say that does change dramatically when you light a bonfire. The amount of experience you get is insanely increased, it feels like to me,
yeah, yeah,
because I could level characters so fast doing that versus trying to do a bunch of runs on normal mode.
Mm,
Yeah, like the experience is significantly boosted. What did you
gotcha.
guys What did you guys think about the bosses themselves?
They all, at least to me, the ones that I fought, all kind of felt similar in terms of what they did and how they felt. Besides, I would say, was Eben King. Why am I always forgetting? Yeah, it was right.
Evan King.
Eben King was kind of fun. He felt like a bit more of a danger. He felt like he had some more unique abilities, flying down the middle of the map and having to kind of stay out of the way of that.
Summoning
Um,
elites, using
yes,
that like
He
blue
had
ranged
the most
attack.
unique level. It felt like.
yes,
Yeah, it was actually an
um,
arena instead
yeah.
Yeah.
of like there. I guess the mage lady sucked you into their arena, or the mage person,
Mhm.
Yeah.
and then like
Whatever that.
blood tree,
Blood sap.
blood
Oh yeah,
sap.
the tree kind of puts you in a
But it
in
was
a.
such an easy fight.
It was, and also that one was jarring for me, for Bloodsap specifically, because I was going to mention that. Like all of a sudden, I'm in a fenced-in area, and I'm like, "What is happening?" Like
Right.
there was no build-up to it. It's just like, boom, you're here. Although, with the arcane lady, who I'm sure I can't remember her name right now. That one I did enjoy a little bit more, because you had to be at a specific spot, and you knew the game told you where you need to be in order to survive something, which I thought was pretty cool. She felt kind of like a challenge. But Blood Sap was just like stupid easy, but a bit jarring on how they get you to that point. You're like, I'm here all of a sudden. Like, oh, okay, what's happening?
All of the
Yeah. So
bosses, all of the main bosses have unique mechanics about them. So, Flesh Golem, he has spike arms and he does that little ranged attack. That's kind of all he does, at least in the base
he
mode.
he has a rage function.
Oh, what?
Because if you take too long to kill him, like I just kind of didn't treat him as a threat at one of my early run throughs. I was just still running around leveling up, and I just kind of I would attack him when he got near, but I was just kind of constantly moving around and away from him. Yeah, he gets mad after a while, and then he just like completely blitzes you.
Oh, I never experienced that.
Well, after that point, I was like, okay, I'll just stick around the golem to kill him. But yeah, I just kind of ignored him early on, and he has a
Interesting.
rage function. It was funny.
Interesting. Well, and then the next one after that is the oh the guy that has like little guys that surround him, and then he puts down those little turrets and shoots stuff at you.
Is it the mushroom guy?
No, before that, because his little
Let's find
minions
it.
help to fight Bloodsap too. Oh my gosh, I'm forgetting his name. I'm forgetting the boss's name. Anyway, you have that guy whose name I'm just totally forgetting. I'm looking at screenshots to see if I can find it. Anyway, he I guess the point we could go through all the bosses, but like Chancellor, the skeleton guy that chases you down the hallway.
Yeah, yeah.
It's a Dark Souls 3 reference, but that's unique. The mage fight very unique. Ebon King is unique. Like they all brought something to the table. At least the major fights in the game, but it is like, was it Elrod the Gatekeeper?
Yeah.
Was
I
really
remember the
underwhelming.
gatekeeper. Yeah, he has a little bit of a little bit more of like an arc attack to him, but if you're paying attention, you can kind of get around it pretty easy. So
He's either
yeah, it
poke
was
poke in front of him, or he does that charge
poke
slam, or just a
poke,
slam.
shield slam. Yeah.
That's like it. And so there were highs and lows. And Fen, you didn't fight the final boss.
No.
Did you, Spleen? I think you must have if you had
No.
the in the lava one.
Oh, the lava. Yeah, that was the one where I beat that and literally one, and then I think I had some kind of burn or something that I literally killed it, and then one tick later I died.
But you fought the guy that shoots all the fireballs.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
Yeah. And that is kind of a cool fight too. But none of
I
them
think.
felt challenging enough to like, in Dead Cells or some of
Uh
the
huh.
other roguelites, you get to a certain boss and you're like, okay, if my build isn't really, really good, I have to play perfect to get past this
Mm-hmm.
checkpoint, right? None of the bosses felt like, oh no, not this boss, oh, how am I going to get through this? Or I need to
Yeah.
be building a specific build with this character to be ready for this boss. Like, none of the bosses felt like I needed that. I died to the Ebon King once ever, maybe twice. And that was just because I either played really poorly or I came in with a really low damage build, but that was really rare. So I feel
Something
like
else.
the boss fights were cool,
Yeah.
but not boss fight enough where like I want a little bit of challenge so that way when I overcome that obstacle, I feel like, oh, this was a really good build because I beat this boss.
Something else I noticed, and this is always a being wanting to be a level designer and still kind of do sometimes. I always am very particular about how the world feels and how it moves and how I like if there's an area that it's like I could very clearly walk into in a game where it's like but it puts an invisible barrier there, it drives me nuts. Like or I was playing Black Myth Wukong, that's one definitely for although that's way above $15. Fun game. The world is gorgeous. But there would be areas that I could walk into that there was no enemies there, no treasure, literally nothing. But it's this vast area that I could walk into. I'm like, why is this here? And one of the things that kind of I wish I could have been incentivized more was the maps. I noticed I would just literally walk left or right most of the time and be like, right, I could go vertically, but every now and again you would get something pop up that says, "Hey, there's a merchant over here," or "Hey, there's a spirit, something," and I'm like, "Okay, I'll lumber towards that," and did that thing, and then I just kept going left and right, and I'm like, "Why would I go searching?" I keep bringing up Halls of Torment, but it's another bullet hell that I can kind of compare it to, where they literally around the map you could go find things that would either make your character better or would apply to challenges later that would make your character better, things like that. So I felt, and I also always knew that when I got into a map there were certain things that I could look for, like I get upgrades elsewhere, and so I would go start looking for those upgrades of like, okay, where is the map, and then I would just go around the map as far as I could until I found what I was looking for. And that's just one thing I didn't really feel from this game. As I said, I just went left and right most of the time, and it just I didn't feel incentivized to like search the map and look for clues. I know there were, but I was just like, why when I could just go left or right?
Right, and there were other than the lava level, there's no edges to the map,
Yeah.
and
Well, and
so
the
and
only
it's
things that you
just kind
needed
of
to
random. Yeah, and that's what actually I was going
yeah.
to transition to, Spleen, is what did you guys think about like the quote unquote quest system with some of the things where they would like you would find a book and it'd be like you need to find the rest of the pages of this book. That would kind of incentivize you
Yep.
to do it, like find all 5 pages, but they weren't well hidden, and because I
I
think
don't
the
and
levels are
I don't
procedurally generated and never ending,
yeah.
like it was never consistent.
Well, and that I think that was like the only one that had those the pages. All I think to find the pages, all you had to do like on that particular level, I can't remember the name of that
For the pages,
world world, but it was like, a bunch of horizontal hallways that then you'd have to go through stairways to like go up or
Usvik Castle,
down.
yeah.
Yeah, the castle. And I think all you had to literally do was go up or down a stairwell, and there was a page there, and then you would just find. Um, but yeah, a lot of and I think a lot of times, like most of the stuff, like um, really the only reason why you were walking around was to find any of the bigger chunks of experience that were sitting around. But once you get later on into the run, that doesn't even matter. And I think once you get to a point, you just stand still, and those things that like, oh, this thing's right over here. I don't think it's because you walked into a certain area that set it off. I just think it was almost like, I think it's almost like a timer, and then they're like, here, we're just gonna put it over here.
Yeah, did either of
Um,
you figure out what actually queued a boss to start? Was it a certain? It wasn't a certain
I
time
don't
because
know.
some of my runs were faster than others. Is it a certain level? Is
And
like,
maybe it's certain level, maybe there are a certain amount of steps.
but then
I'm
how does the
thinking at
I
a
boss
don't.
show up if
certain
you don't
level.
move?
I'm
That's
thinking it's
true.
certain. True, that's a good point. I'm thinking at a certain level. The reason I say that is because when I switched and I was on the Evan King or pre-Evan King level, because then obviously you transition to Evan King and later in the level. Um, first time I went into it as Blood Maiden, I got to level like 45, I think, or something like that. And then I switched over to the Pyromancer, and once I got into it, with the Pyromancer, I ended up being just about the same level. I think I ended up being about 44, 45, 43, somewhere in there.
So maybe
And
there's like a
that's when,
range within levels.
When I'm
yeah,
looking
something
at
like
the
that.
screenshots that Stingbot has on their website, and for boss fights, one of the Elrods is at level 27, the Chancellor level 28, Ebon King 42,
Yeah,
Velia is the mage's name. Velia Monk is level 45, so it must be a level range thing. I think you're right.
gotta be. Yeah, because that's
Maybe
what it
like
felt like.
a weird level timer thing. Like once you reach a certain level, a timer starts, and then
Something, because I always had a. By the time you
it wasn't
play a few
always the
runs, you're
same, but there was
like,
always
I
a
know
certain
I'm
point.
about to get a boss, but like eventually after playing it, because I played a lot more than you guys, like it got to the point where like I'm
You
trying.
could,
The only thing I haven't done in the whole game is when they introduced the Pyromancer, they introduced a secret quest. So after you beat Usvik Castle with the Pyromancer, there is a Blackfire tome. You collect the tome, and then you have to play all of the levels and find the Black Flame in that level.
mm,
Um, but once I started, doing these runs, I was like, oh, okay, this is about to happen. This is
Yeah,
about to happen. And that for me, like when an invader showed up at first, I was like, oh, that's exciting. This is really cool. And the invaders did different things or proposed a
and then
different
it was the
challenge,
same invader every single time.
but they didn't do enough of that where it was like, oh, I want to
Yeah.
be surprised. Like I want to
yeah,
see some change. And the only level that seemed to change in any significant way was the very first one where sometimes you get the Pumpkin King, sometimes you get Blood Sap. Um, but eventually it all kind of becomes the same slog over and
Yeah.
over again. You know what I mean?
And yeah, and it's like, yeah, it is indie game, smaller company, blah blah blah. Very good 1.0 launch. Like
Yeah.
yeah.
Oh yeah.
1.0.
Like
Yeah,
we're
like
making this
very
game
good.
sound bad, and
Yeah.
I want to say
Um
I do not think that at all. I think the music is
No.
amazing. I think the art style
yes.
is awesome. I think the bones are really good.
It's
I think they need
very
to
good,
flesh out
and
some of it.
yeah, I think it'd be cool if, the idea it's not too bad that, like the whole you beat the 4 and then you have to go back through and beat the 4 again. It'd be cool if they would potentially introduce new levels. If there was a way to, it would have been interesting if like each level, if there was a little more to the characters to where then you had to kind of tailor towards each level. There was kind of a different
Yep.
characteristic about it that require you couldn't just, you know full tilt AoE damage your way through all of them. Like there would have to be some sort of, like, there's little nuances where that you could utilize
And
slightly different things.
the
And
Yeah.
knowledge system I really enjoy because you only have so many knowledge points you can use. And to me, the bones are there to be like, oh, you know what? I need more crit damage, but in order to get more crit damage, I have to give up a certain like extra chance for
hmm
uncommon items, right? I like that the balance of trying to like maximize your potential for your run is there, but at the same time, I'm not sure it felt necessary to have all of those switches to pull. You know what I mean?
yeah, I
Yeah.
definitely didn't change the talent, like the knowledge
Mm-mm.
talents often. I don't actually. I think I just picked random ones that sounded nice, and I don't think I ever changed them around.
And I love that you
Um,
can without like repercussion. Like you can, okay, I didn't
yeah,
like that. Let me just take some points out of this and throw some points into
Yeah.
this. Like that's
Yeah.
nice. Not every game lets you do that,
yeah,
but
and so
not
maybe
enough felt
that's where that.
impactful.
Yeah, maybe that's where the nuance is wanting to try and be, where it's like you build up, you have the character stats, but you max them out, and then that's where it kind of makes those changes somewhere. If maybe that there's just a combination that we're missing that would make the ranger a lot more viable, or
Something or the power ups were fun, but also
yeah,
like the magnet was always the one I wanted to see the most.
yes,
Like
the
the magnet
magnet.
showed up, I'm like, oh god, I don't have to run all over the screen collecting these stupid things for a minute. You know what I mean?
That, and then that's, or yeah, that's why. And then when I realized the maiden could get a vortex. I'm like, I'm
Oh
never
yeah.
gonna use. I'm not even gonna use the other one just for the sheer fact I don't want to have to.
Right. And hard mode introduces the crown, which I think like superpowers you and makes you a
Oh
little
yeah,
bit
yeah, yeah.
invincible for a minute, but it still doesn't feel unique enough. Like
Yeah.
I don't know if it made you invincible because I swear I died while wearing the crown.
it makes you move faster and maybe it just
But I
makes you
think it
hit
like
harder.
speeds you up or maybe makes you stronger and
Yeah.
decreases the cooldown for your attacks or something.
Something like that. I don't know, but the power ups, other than the magnet, there was one that give you more critical hit chance, and there was one that shoot knives in front of you, or you breathe fire. Like those
Yeah.
are all cool, but I was never like, oh my god, that power up just saved my life. You know what I mean? It was like, oh
Yeah,
okay, these are kind of
the
cool.
power ups are fun. It was just fun little things, but it didn't add a huge amount. The items that you could get were um, they were pretty interesting. Some of them were fun. Um,
Some of them are game breaking, a little
yeah,
bit. Like especially when you're playing with the pyromancer, maxing out critical strike or getting the one where you have a 10% chance that critical strikes do cause lightning bolts that do damage, or you
uh
get
huh.
the one that critical strikes have a chance to summon a ghost guy to fight for you.
Oh yeah,
Critical
those, and
every
then
hit has a 1% chance of poisoning enemies. But when I'm shooting 60 fireballs every half second,
yeah,
my
you're
chances of
critting
poisoning everyone is
constantly.
high. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Like and so
the
that
amount of
got
damage you get out.
nuts.
Yeah,
But you can't do that with all of the characters. Like not all of the characters benefit as much from the power ups as other characters.
Yeah, there was a lot of items that I just kind of avoided because I was like, I just waited for better items. And speaking on items is something that it's not necessarily something that it needs, but I think we've already hit on this that each run, I never felt a sense of like I don't want to die because I want to get to a certain point, whether it was a boss or a certain item or something like there was no like intensity of like trying to be better at the game and trying to get better items and none of that. I didn't really feel pressure when I once again I keep bringing Halls of Torment. When I played that, what they would do is they would have you could run around the world and you can get actual gear. But in order to bring the gear back to the home world, you had to go to a certain spot in the map, deposit it in there, and then it would come back with you to the home world. But if you died, you lost it, right? And it could be potentially really good gear for another character or stuff like that. Like there was risk to you losing. Obviously, you would get experience, you would still get all that kind of stuff because if not, it'd be really frustrating. But there was risk to you running through the world. I
There's
mean,
no
don't get me wrong.
consequence in this game.
Thank you. That's a better way to put it. I did, and once again, it sounds like we're just really like harsh on. I enjoyed the game because it is very relaxing and can be very fun. And at the end of the day, it can be something that it's like you launch up and it's just like I just need to zone out for a bit. But even still, I personally I love more kind of a consequence from it and wanting to make whatever class I'm playing at that time better. How can I utilize them better? How can I get better at it? Like what can I do differently both from what I'm doing actually as a player to the upgrades to the gear to whatever system that game goes down. It just one didn't have a lot of it, which kind of felt underwhelming a little bit, at least to me.
Right. Right. Um, again, the bones are there. The bones are
Yeah,
there.
no, absolutely.
And so let's go ahead and pick a few favorite things about the game here. So
Yeah.
from the skill tree, any character, what was your guys' favorite skill? Like the skill you would take every single time?
Blood Maiden's spin move. I can't remember what it was called, but her first ultimate. Uh, that was just fun. I wish it was a little faster, but even still, just being able to body something and run into them and be invincible and do damage and know when it's about to end and then sprint out of there. Yeah, that was fun.
And suck in all of the experience around
Yes.
you. Yeah, that
Yes,
was awesome.
absolutely.
Explain?
Oh man, I think it's one that I would always go for. I think it's definitely with Pyromancer. I'm trying to remember it. Um, his detonation was a big one that I liked.
Uh-huh. The knockback is really sweet on that
Yeah,
one.
with the bit, it had a real big knockback. That one and like the one where it like rained meteor fire down.
Oh, yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
The most
Wait,
underwhelming of his abilities, though, was the one that spawns the little volcanoes.
oh
Yeah,
yeah.
the little
Wait, are you
volcanoes were
talking
kind
about
of
abilities that we pick up throughout the run?
Like any
like,
ability a character has, like if you
Just in general.
when
Okay.
you level up, like a move, you were
yeah,
like, yes,
My
I
bad.
have to take that level
yeah.
up.
I
Yeah,
thought you were talking about
the
like.
volcanoes one is the like
Okay.
is actually within the talent tree that you get.
Hmm.
That's the cataclysm. I just
Oh.
opened up the game because I couldn't remember what they were,
I
what they
mean,
were
Right,
called.
right.
But yeah, the cataclysm one is the one that makes the volcanoes pop up and stuff fall. And then I remember, annihilation was one I didn't realize because sometimes I just didn't read what I was leveling up. I just saw the little circles and I'm like, I need to fill them all. And so
Hmm.
then I was like, after I filled that one up and I was playing, I was like, oh, there's a giant fireball. That's cool. Uh, um,
if we're
so
looking at
definitely
those,
the what?
if we're looking at those kind of abilities, which my bad, I didn't quite comprehend
That's
Oh
that.
no,
okay.
you're good.
Is definitely Pyromancer's giant meteor that he sends down, just because it's
Yeah.
satisfying.
Hmm.
Just watching it rain down and just absolutely destroy something was very pleasing to me. 100%.
I will say
Mine
it
was
was
the
also pretty
telekinetic
satisfying.
fireballs one, where you shoot the like cone of fireballs in front of you.
Mm,
Because
Okay.
once you've leveled up your fireballs to a point where they're bouncing and every crit creates another fireball, you do this burst of fireballs in front of you, and watching them bounce and all around the room and absolutely annihilate a room just felt
and
so
like just
good.
100 enemies explode
Yeah,
all at once,
I
kind of thing.
love
Yeah,
that.
I was about to say that too. Like just watching it cascade like that was a lot of fun as well. Um, I would say like later Blood Maiden just having the like um the scythes, like once you have like a full set of scythes going around you and
Yes.
everything,
Uh huh.
that's pretty satisfying to watch. You
I
just
can
running
hear the
around
sound
basically
effect in my head.
you're just running around like you're a meat grinder
Yeah.
basically. Uh
I also enjoyed her blood rain just because it was so wide, like grasping, that it was really
mhm.
nice because it took care of things at the edge of the screen, applied blood and bleeding, which was really useful, and then you could continue to beef that up as you get closer. I just really liked picking that up because it felt useful without me having to think about anything like even more so than usual. Just knowing that all of a sudden things on the edge of the screen would start to die, which
Right.
I was like, I'm nowhere near that.
Right. And the Shadow Monk, any of his abilities where you have to do the little button combination, the like fighting
Yeah,
game
that was a
button
nice, that
combination.
was a fun little addition thing to be able to do. And um it was fun when I realized you could do that with when I was walking around with the joystick. I could input it with the joystick as I'm moving around, so it just made it really easy
I would
input
accidentally
it.
do it a
Yeah.
lot of times. Yeah.
Um I think that his one of his like his ultimate combo ones, like the 100 fist one, where it was kind of fun to watch because then all of a sudden just a bunch of
Yeah.
fists were going all different
Yeah.
directions.
Okay. So, what we've talked about our favorites, like the ability that you would come up when it would give you the three options, and you every time
Uh-huh.
you'd say no.
Um, on the pyromancer, he had two fire chain attacks. One
Yep.
that spun around, which I liked. The other one
The
where it just kind of like
slam.
slapped down in front was
Hmm.
kind of, it just didn't really fit in a lot of ways because of just how much AoE he does, and then this random slapping in front just didn't seem necessary. So it just I always would I'd see that one and I
Banish
was just
that
like,
one.
nah. Yeah, I didn't really banish a whole lot of them. I think, but
Banish
yeah, it
would
was always one that
reset the thing,
I
and then
would
it would
skip.
get rid of bad ones that you
Mm,
knew you weren't going to
yeah.
use. And so I enjoyed the banish
Um.
mechanic.
So yeah, I skipped that one a lot. Um. I'm trying to think some of the other
Mine
ones.
every time that I was like, this is so useless, is the like, oh, you get 5% of your XP healed on every level
Oh,
up. Like,
Oh yeah.
I don't need that
yeah,
one. I never took it. I never took it. I would banish it or ignore it every single time.
yeah,
The
yep.
only reason I ever
That
took that
one.
one was when I was leveling up Pyromancer for that first time because I was like, he's gonna struggle. Like, and also I wasn't used to because with Blood Maiden I let people get closer to me and then use my sights to push them away and always keep space.
Hmm.
Initially, I was not doing. I was bodying everything and taking so much unnecessary damage that was kind of ridiculous. So I was like, okay, I'm gonna take this for now because I need some way to heal until I can get crits until I could level up to get enough crit to be able to heal myself and then go from there. But that's the only time I ever took that. There's a Blood Maiden ability that I always avoid, and I cannot remember which one it was. I think it was one of the ones where it did like a knockback or something like that, and I was just like, I'm not going to utilize this. But I
I
can't remember
can't.
which one it was.
Didn't I
The
think Blood Maiden had one
what's
that
it
also
called?
that would like damaged you.
That's the one.
Oh,
Thank you.
It
That's
had
the
it
one.
had like a slow tick of damage, but it
Yeah.
like gave you a boost,
I'm
which I
sorry.
guess
Anything that.
could be
I tried that one a
counteracted by that.
few
But
times, and it wasn't worth
Yeah.
the trade off.
yeah, I
Yeah.
never trust anything where it's like hurt yourself for a bonus thing. Like,
The
no, I don't want to hurt myself. I
the
want
only
to.
game I've ever done that because I do the same. I avoid it. I'm like, why would I want to hurt myself, especially if I'm playing a game that's difficult and or even remotely difficult, and I'm going to struggle and probably die from my own ineptitude.
Because we're filthy
Um,
casuals.
That's
Yeah.
fair. But with
Yes.
Black Myth Wukong, obviously now we're talking about the game, but they had a set where you would poison yourself, but the more armor you got over time, you could customize it in a way where you could nullify that poison damage, but then you would get stronger because of how much poison you had on you. And so I walked into a boss and basically poisoned myself and destroyed that boss that way. And that's the only time I'm like, okay, I can just not take damage from this. Great.
Right.
And I ran into that and used that a ton.
What? I'm trying to remember what game that I would do stuff like that where you could start you would do certain damage, but then you're immune. Oh, it was friggin' what's it called?
Yeah, that one.
Gunfire.
Oh,
Gunfire.
Gunfire, yeah.
Yeah, where you could be like,
Gunfire
you
Reborn.
could,
Right.
yeah, Gunfire Reborn. Sorry, where you get like the shard that the corrosive shard. So then you, if you when you do corrosive damage, it affects you, but then you get the other or. I can't remember if the shard might be the thing that makes you immune to it. But anyway, you do like corrosive damage that also hurts you, but then you get this other item that makes you immune to the corrosive damage. So then you get the benefits of all the stuff without being hurt by it.
Great example of a roguelite that every decision feels like it matters on level up. And making it past certain bosses or doing well on certain bosses feels impactful. So good example is what I'm saying.
Yeah, it's definitely times where you realize you're not making great decisions, and you can start to and there's like I think like the first two worlds you can get by pretty well, but then once you get to that third area, if your build's not doing great, you can feel it where it's just like things are just not going down like they should, and you need some huge changes in order to fix it. Or like when you're hunting for the Geminis and then you don't get the one you need, and then all of a sudden your gun went from being great to crap.
Right. And then there wasn't, at least in the 1.0 of this, there isn't enough of that or any of that really.
Yeah.
Where it's like, man, I didn't get this move in the skill tree, or the synergy of getting the next level up of that ability really matters. That at least in this version of the game, and I hope they keep working on it. But this version doesn't have that. So yeah, I feel what you're talking about. Favorite character, guys? Which one did you like best?
For as little as I played Pyromancer, I kind of like Pyromancer because once I
think
get
Pyro's
used
my
to
favorite.
it,
He's
he was super fun.
bonkers. He is bonkers.
He's out of the ones that I've been able to, he was the most satisfying when you got to that point where you could just stand still, just to like watch like the fireballs, the detonation in the middle, the raining, the fire, the volcano, the big spinny thing. Like, it was very satisfying to watch.
It was.
But yeah,
I like the idea of all the characters. Like the only character I didn't enjoy was Ranger, but at least they all felt different.
Yeah. And there's maybe, I'm sure there's just a way that either way we're playing it is wrong, or there's just a way that it's not meant for us type thing. I'm sure there's a way to make it work. It's just
We're casuals.
haven't found it yet.
Cool. Second to last thing, either favorite run or favorite memory from playing this game.
Probably fighting Evan King for me. That one was fun. Because it was one of the first times where I'm like, as I kind of talked about, it's like, okay, that first fight did not go well. What can I do to get better to get through that? Because in order to move on with the game, I have to get through them. And that one was a lot of fun because I adjusted how I was playing, adjusted who I was playing, leveled up, Pyromancer a little bit. That one sticks in my head a little bit more than a lot of the other things do.
Cool. Spleen.
Yeah, I think that was definitely it was a Crimson the Blood Maiden run that I did, and it was pretty early on, so like wasn't fully leveled or anything, and I don't even know if I had like the vortex or the super attack for her. This is the run that I ultimately made it all the way to the end, and I was fighting the guy, and like it was the last fire guy, and it was, I mean, that was definitely like that was the moment where I was, from dozing off from everything, and then all of a sudden I had to kind of wake back up because like, oh wait, I need to actually move around a little bit more here. And the one where basically where I killed him and then died immediately. uh, um and so then I was sitting there going like, wait, did I win? Did I mean, these other exclamation points came up, so I think I won.
Yeah, you were like, what do I do now? And I was like, oh, you have to go
What-
back and play each level again. There'll be a different thing that happens.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because part of me was like, wait, did I just miss like a cutscene that I
Yeah,
should have
some of
got?
that needs to be fleshed out a little better, to make you understand, like, oh, this is where I need to go next. Like,
Yeah.
yeah. I think my
Yeah.
my best run, weirdly, was with the Bogatir, which is a character like can get
I could
really
not
really
get that one
broken.
going.
It can get really strong, but the early game is tough. Like it's definitely in MOBAs. What do they call those? Carries. It's definitely a carry feeling of a
Yeah.
character. But I had a run where I was with my daughter on the couch, and I got up, I made lunch, I went to the bathroom, and we just started laughing because nothing could kill the Bogatir. I got, I don't even know how many curses in before, and I can't tell you if I died or if the game gave up, but eventually the run did end about an hour in.
Lord.
Yeah, the fact that you made it a full hour is ridiculous.
It was like, okay, I'm
Well,
invincible.
I think one of the curses, there's one in there that eventually starts just ticking at your health. Um,
There's the one that you have to stay in the sun.
there's that one. There's one there, but there was one I think I remember getting. I can't remember what it's called. Where it literally, I think it just it's just constant, persistent damage.
You know with the
Uh,
Crimson Maiden, you know what the one that absolutely wrecked me was? The one where it will randomly turn the experience fire the soul things on the floor. It turns them into things that damage you, and you don't know when it's going to
oh,
happen. And so if you get a magnet or if you do her ability, all of a sudden you suck all of the ones in on screen, and it does all this damage to you. It's almost like
oh
an
my
instant kill.
gosh.
That one and Swords of Doom. Swords of Doom annoyed me.
Yeah, the swords one was annoying, and the one with like the purple balls that chase you around was pretty
Dead
annoying.
Reckoning.
I also the mushrooms, the little poison mushrooms, that one
That are
annoyed me
so
too
not
because
obvious and you just keep walking over them?
yeah, because I'm like,
Yes.
oh, because I'm like, oh, they look just like the power ups. It's almost like they did that on purpose. Uh,
Yeah, but then there were
but
others that didn't feel impactful at all. Like
yeah,
avoiding the arrows, not a
the
big deal.
arrows, yeah, the arrows are pretty easy to avoid. The artillery one, I felt like it never like aimed
I'm not sure I
like
ever
at the
got hit by
character.
it that I'm aware of.
Yeah, I felt like I think I got hit by it because I kept moving.
The one where it makes you slip and slide everywhere could be annoying with the right character. The one where you like turn into ice randomly.
Oh yeah.
That one was kind
And
of
it like
rough.
slows you down and turns you into ice.
But yeah, Bogatir was my deepest curse run, which I would not have expected. But he's very beefy that late in the game.
Yeah, he's limited in direction like like the ranger, but then even more limited by range. And so you have to be really. I think that's the like one of the few that and maybe they designed it that way where it's like at the very beginning you have to actually pay attention
Mm-hmm.
because you have to put in some work, but if you put in the work, you live forever.
Yep.
Um,
Yep. Yep.
whereas like the pyromancer or the ranger, I'm assuming if it can get as powerful as they make it sound, like the ones that start out easier like eventually plateau, whereas maybe the bogatir and the ranger have can ultimately reach a higher um damage output or health pool to be able to survive a greater survivability. You just have to put in the work first until to get it there.
Yeah, I couldn't zone out as much as I could with some of the other characters, at least not in the beginning.
Yeah,
So,
I think.
but yeah, I think
Maybe that's how
overall,
they designed it.
yeah, I think overall it was a game not like any other game I've played in like how inactive you could be or how I didn't have to
Mm-hmm.
be as involved with like timing of abilities and things. So it was a unique feeling to a game, but also it kind of felt comfy, just like you guys were talking about.
Yeah, it was a very very zen thing where like I wish if I think I would have enjoyed this game even more if I could like use it on a hand if I had a handheld to use it on,
I played it
to
on the
where I could.
Switch, and that
Right.
was a cool way to
So
play it.
Yeah,
because I think there were just times where like at my computer I'm my chair's not uncomfortable, but I kind of just start getting antsy from just having to kind of because I'm just sitting here watching, and then or when I'm playing I would kind of start zoning out and falling asleep type of thing. And I think it would just be nice if I could just go sit on a couch and do it, or and be able to
very
play it or
nice.
something
It
like
was.
that.
I can tell you it was.
Yeah, it was as well.
Because yeah, I have a phone game that's very similar to this style of just survive hordes of enemies and um, you know level up to get stronger kind of thing. So I enjoy these types of games. It's always fun, and I enjoy the satisfying time when you get in the later part where it's just there is no ground anymore. It's just the sea of enemies and you in the middle holding keeping them at bay. Um,
Yeah, it
Convince
was
the
cool.
missus and get you a Steam Deck. It's worth it.
Yeah, for real. For real.
Do
well,
it.
I have to have money first.
Money is
Well,
the problem.
get money.
Which is
Well,
why
yeah, no, I enjoyed.
we're
I'm
keeping our
working on it,
limit
man.
$20 or less.
Working on
Yep.
it.
Yep.
So if you guys had to give the game a rating, let's say like 1 to 5,
Sure.
what would you give? What do you think?
I mean,
5, like let's say a
honestly,
recommendation, like 5 being like you have to go play this game, 1 being like never even look at this game.
honestly,
It's definitely not bad.
I mean, I would say it's a solid 4. Like it's fun. It's a very good. It's a good time waster. Like you you can just sit and play it, and even if you don't technically finish a level, you don't really feel like you lose all that much if you don't finish the level for whatever reason. Like if you have to stop, there's not that big of a deal, you know. Yeah, I mean, I would if people were to talk about it like, hey, what do you think of this game? Like, oh yeah, it's fun. And I mean, it's very positive
For
on
$7,
Steam, so
it is
yeah, and for the
really good.
price, it's yeah.
I
and
got
it's
about
it's on
30
sale right
hours
now.
out of it for $7.
Yeah.
And I think
I mean,
you could probably like quote unquote beat the game in 8 hours, probably, maybe less, depending on how good you are or how lucky
but
you
we're not
get.
those type of people.
But I like maxed all the characters and I did almost
Yeah,
everything. So $7 is a deal.
we are all the explorer type when it comes to games.
Yeah.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
For me, I would probably I'm right between a 3 or a 4. I'd probably do it a 3, just because of some of the things I've said. Like it is worth checking out, absolutely, especially if you find what we have discussed and if you find the gameplay interesting and just fun and to be able to relax. I think if they improve on some of the things that we talk about, if they even hear or take our suggestions, it would make it that much better. And it would definitely make it a 4 and worth definitely checking out. Like you have to do it. But if we're going based on that scale, I'd probably do a 3. Like if you find it interesting, give it a shot. If you're not really that into what we kind of talked about, then maybe not.
Yeah. And I think I'm going to agree with, I'm going to say a 3. if they flesh some things out, if the bosses were a little bit harder, if there was more to do, like if there was like a final thing, there was end credits, if the abilities felt a little more impactful, if there was a little more reward, then I could easily go 4.5. But in the current state it's in, it's a 3, which for me is, hey, for $7, if you need a really chill game that you're gonna enjoy, yeah, absolutely, go get it. Go take a look at this. I think, Stingbot has done a great job with this game, and I hope that they really keep working on it.
Yeah, agreed.
All right, so who wants to pick the next game?
If
Oh dear.
I
I
do
don't
have a
even know.
suggestion.
Oh,
Because
okay.
I
actually,
don't have one.
if you go, because I've been staring at the page for the game just because like it keeps my brain focused on it. For Keeper's Toll, they're actually having a bullet hell like fest right now on Steam, which is kind of cool.
Okay.
And actually, it's I think in tomorrow or 2 days from now. But as I was going through and looking at what games were there, oh no, it's tomorrow. It's on December 11th. As I was looking, there's a bunch in here, so definitely go through. But one I came across was called Nimrods. I think it's like Nimrods. Yeah, no funny name.
Guncraft Survivor.
Yep, that's the one. Guncraft Survivor, $10.
I apologize to anyone listening to this recording because both of the trailers automatically played and it was very
No.
loud. So in this recording, if you were suddenly like, I was sleeping to this and you have ruined me, I am so sorry.
And we just leave surprises. It's just a little bit of horror podcast every now and again, just some jump
Yeah, there you
scares.
go. Two jump scares for you.
Just little ones.
You know.
But yeah, so it's called Nimrod's Guncraft Survivor. Part of it's another bullet hell. But part of the reason I kind of looked at it and think it would be fun is number one, we're already kind of in that realm, so that could be fun.
Sure.
But apparently there's a system where you can craft your own guns and take parts and like put them together, and I have wanted a system like that, like Borderlands-esque, where you get random guns and then you can put things together, and like that seems like that may be what this is.
Sort of not Breath
So-
of the Wild, but what was the second game where you couldn't put
Oh, Tears of the Kingdom?
Tears of the Kingdom, kind of like that?
Yeah. So, exactly. You can reuse what you get, and it's like that whole thing. So that's one I kind of like got my eye on. There was a
it's pretty
couple in there
new
that
as
looked kind of
well.
fun. Yes, October
Looks like
28th,
it's still in early access too.
and it's got pretty good reviews this far. So that's my suggestion.
$10. Okay. I mean, I'm down for that. Spleen, you feel good about that?
Yeah, I think I can make that work.
Cool. Okay. Oh, any other any life suggestions? Movies you're watching? Anything you'd suggest?
Don't move and have a kid at the same time. Just don't.
Yeah,
Just don't
it
do
does
it.
not make
That's
the vessel happy.
Yeah, yeah.
Keep your vessels happy.
Keep your
them
vessels
very
happy.
happy.
These
Fed
are words
and
to live
happy.
by.
Because if they are not fed, they are very grumpy, and yeah. So
That's because it's not
that's
just
me.
one person hungry.
No, it is the vesseling, the vesselite. I don't know.
Oh
I
God,
was trying to think.
The
sounds like
cargo.
cellulite.
Cargo. Yeah, the cargo.
Well, I think those are great words to end on. Keep your vessel happy.
Keep your
Yeah.
keep your vessel happy.
That can mean a lot
Everybody
of
out
things. And I'm
there.
okay with that. Open-ended.
Keep your vessel happy. All right. Well, this is fun. We're gonna try to do this again in maybe about a month with a new game. But I'm Sharxx,
I'm
I'm
Phenom.
Spleen.
and we'll catch you next time. Keep your vessels happy.
Bye.